Hello and welcome. I am Heather and this is What Heather Did. If you're new here, welcome. If you are returning, hey, thanks for coming back. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I'm going to try to put a little thing there, so click below to subscribe. That doesn't cost you anything, but it helps me out. And today I am participating in the Maximalist Challenge hosted by LaVintage Decor and made by Marley. And the challenge was to take a piece of furniture and just make it over in a maximalist style, like go crazy. And the thing in let your freak flag fly was part of the instructions, and that is really hard for me to say if you didn't figure that out. And so I found a piece that I was like, this is perfect, and I've had a lot of fun with it. I have been battling the heat. I have a fan on my back porch. It's like well over 100 still right now, and 6 in the evening, and I've been battling the heat. It has caused so many problems for me, but I think I'm actually gonna get it to come together and have this done. So my phone is too hot. I just got a notification that my phone is too hot. Awesome. So be sure to stick around to see what Heather did today, and make sure to check out the playlist in the description below, or hopefully linked at the end of this video. Alright, so here is the piece I found out on a walk with my kids, and notice it's not in great shape. It's also not wood. None of it. So it was just a cheap piece, but I thought, hey, why not? For the Maximalist Challenge, I can go crazy and experiment and have fun with it. Trim was busted, like just a lot of damage. I didn't pay that much for it. No, I did not. You can see a lot of damage to the top. And as soon as you break into this, it water damage. You can see all that. It's not going to stay together well. I don't know. I thought it would be fun. Like, I have some experimenting to do. The drawers are even worse shape. Like this plasticky sticker coating right there. The drawer slides are metal, but they're not attached very well, so they're just falling apart. The drawers don't slide easy. One of them's busted. Like, there's just a lot going on. The door, that's a door, is mostly intact, so that I will keep. But most of the other drawers just aren't in good shape. I'm gonna be disassembling, reassembling, and just making some stuff happen. See? Hole. Awesome. Okay, so the drawers aren't good, but the pulls actually aren't bad. So I'm gonna keep those off. All the drawers. These drawers are going in the trash. I'm gonna try to save these drawers. I think I can reinforce the glides. They're bent too, but I think I can reinforce that. And I'm probably going to take this out to make like a shelf down there instead of 2 small shelves. So that's kind of the plan. Before I do that, I am going to kind of disassemble some of this stuff, clean it really good. So step 1 is actually going to be to actually kick that same box. I'm going to okay, I need to move that. Clean. I got to clean. Okay, here we are. This is the underside. Look, a piece of real wood. It's like 5 of them in there. So the base, you can see here, is completely busted. So this is gonna, oops, I'm gonna cut this off. But the problem I'm gonna have is that there's nothing to support the inside. So I'm gonna have to kind of build a little base in there before I cut this off. And then go from there. I'm also pulling these off, the drawer runners here, because those are coming out for sure. So I got to do some build up on the base before I do anything else. Okay, so to remove these, this was just held in by staples. lots and lots of staples. So I kind of pried at the staples, checked my watch, pulled out the staples, knocked stuff on the ground, picked the stuff back up so I didn't trip over it, and just kind of kept prying stuff until they came out. The back pieces, I can't get off. There are staples back there, so instead I end up just cutting them off with a little saw. So to remove the trim, it was just staples, so just kind of pried it off and it came right off. It was, ouch, easy peasy. That one is not as easy. Okay, I'm actually glad I'm taking this off now. Because look how dirty it is under there. Yeah. So I'm just going to take that the rest of the way off. And then re-clean it apparently. Alright, so these I can't pull out because this, like, they're sandwiched in between these two pieces. So I borrowed these little nippers from my dad. Now, it does leave, it's not flush, but what I did, what I'm doing, is going through and knocking that, and it kind of flattens those points. So I'm going to have to sand anyway for all these, I don't know, you can see right here, I have to sand a little bit anyway. So it takes the points off of them, so I think I'll be able to smooth it out enough. If not, I'll cover it up with something. To remove the top, all I had to do was reach really, 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 really far up in there and remove those screws. There were 4 glue blocks and more dirt. There was trim there. And I just had to stretch in there and remove the screws and then kind of use a little mallet, just kind of pull the top off. It wasn't determined to stay. So in order to do anything, this isn't square. It's not square, it's kind of warped, which isn't unexpected, but I have to kind of fix that. So I built a little support for it, but it won't go in there. So I'm gonna have to kind of fix some stuff and kind of adjust it so I can get that in there to support the base. Cut off all the excess part that was like damaged. I used my circular saw. This stuff is incredible. It's a fine tooth blade, or as fine as I can get for a smaller blade. And to get a smooth cut, the saw kept stopping, so I just kind of had to like back it up, check on things, clean it up, clear it out. It took forever. It was ridiculous. So it takes a lot of patience to do that, but it's not impossible. But to build that base, I used 1x2s and 1x3s. I cut them to length to go just inside the base. Like I took all the measurements and used pocket holes to assemble everything. I checked this for square so many times. It was square, it was good. Then when I went to put it in, the dresser wasn't square. That was fun. But just pocket holes, clamp, make sure to hold stuff. I used the 2 long boards and then the 2 boards on the end, lots of glue, and then I actually put 4 pieces going across, so 4 more short pieces go in there. I didn't worry too much about how evenly spaced they were, but they are fairly evenly spaced. This is gonna help support it and keep it square, but also if I need to attach anything, I have a place for that. Just in case. I don't know. I haven't decided what I'm doing with the base yet. I'm wearing plenty of sunscreen and bug spray because the mosquitoes were huge. Make sure to stay safe in the sun. Putting the base in. This end fits. This end doesn't. I think it's because we're sagging here. So, I think that's it. So I'm going to try using my clamps to spread this out a little bit and hopefully fit it in there. Okay, so you notice here that the base hasn't been cut yet. This is a little bit out of order, but I'm trying to go with, I don't know, something that makes sense. I don't know. But I was trying to use clamps to spread this out so I could fit this in here. It really didn't work. The only way I could get this in here was to cut it off first, and then I could kind of move some stuff and make it work. This didn't really get the dresser entirely square, and the base isn't even, like, nothing's really square in there, but it helped, and it'll make future stuff a lot easier. I also realized I needed some frame pieces for the little shelf that I'm going to put in. I need some support pieces, so I just used my table saw before it died, because it does that, and cut some pieces. These are just rough cuts. This is some scrap wood I had. Cut it up, I'll rip it down to size, and then I have the supports I need for my little shelf. And again, this didn't have to be perfect because this is going to be inside that nobody sees. So. For the little shelf boards, so just some glue. And everything had to be different lengths too, because like nothing was the same length. So, and then I brad nailed it into the frame, which I did have some problems getting that, hiding those later, but it is what it is. It had something to hold the shelf. Yay! For the drawers, I took the metal ones off, and then I cut the little plastic pieces off because there's this staple back here. I haven't taken those off because I don't want to tear up the drawers, so I have to kind of decide if I need to. But what I've decided I'm going to do is I cut these pieces to go in here. It's not the same distance, so they actually had to be different lengths. It was kind of amusing. This will sit flush right here. Now to attach it, because it's not an easy way to attach right there, I cut these, which will go right here, and then I can attach those and attach the slides to this, and they'll rest on that. From there, I'll see what else I need to do if I have to support anything else. That's my plan right now. I have sanded these. I don't know if I'm going to record me attaching it because it's hard to get a good picture of me doing anything in there. But I sanded these to 120, so they're nice and smooth. After I get them attached, I'll also, before I put the drawers in, like, wax them. Okay, that's the plan. Now all I have to do is, you know, make it happen. Of me trying to fix this. I was standing on a stool because it was a little bit too high, and kept having to like stick my head stick my head through there, stick my head through the bottom. Will this fit here? And do this. So I just clamped this on. I did forget glue on these, but I glued the others. Clamped this on. Oops. Brad nailed it. It was what it was. I made it work. And I kept checking for square, which was really hard on this dresser because nothing was square. But I really tried to make it square. It works. It's fine. On the inside of these drawers, this wasn't sealed at all, so you can see a lot of this staining and stuff. I thought it was weird. They didn't, whatever. So I couldn't really clean that very well, but I did have to do a little bit of sanding on some spots. I did a spray primer on this just to get it sealed. I used this Rust-Oleum Professional Primer in gray because that's what I have. So that's what I use on the drawers, but not what I use on the whole piece. But I wanted to seal the drawer faces before I did anything. Okay, something I was worried about, and it's what's happening, is that these metal sides would catch on the wood that I cut. So I need to take them off. And I did practice on a drawer that I didn't need. Just okay, I have no backup plan if I destroy one of these, so I'm just kind of hoping for the best. So just kind of, it's held on. The inside, they're just kind of hooked there. And then this just kind of lays flat. And it hooks up here. What I did was just gently, and this, I'm just going to work with it very gently, not being too rough. And then just kind of keep checking if this is ready to pop out or not. Gently. I'm not going too close to the edge over here because I don't want to, it's going to be one of the weaker spots. So I'm trying not to damage anything. There we go. And then it just pops off. Ta-da! For the drawers, I painted them white with just Rust-Oleum white chalk paint that I had. I didn't show that because it's just me painting the drawers white. But I decided to do stripes. So I used tape to make little stripes, used the white paint to seal the edges a little bit. And the drawers aren't flat, so it only kind of worked. I painted the stripes within the navy. And of course, I did 2 coats right there. The tape is going to pull off some of my paint, so I just had to touch that up. No big deal. The decoupage paper that I used was too thick and very glossy. I should read reviews better on Amazon. So a trick I saw from someone, I'll think of it, was to use packing tape and just smush it down really good and then use the packing tape to peel off part of the paper, and it'll make it thinner and remove that glossy finish. Our Upcycled Life. Deidre at Our Upcycled Life. I saw this on her channel and it worked well. It made the paper nice and thin, so it worked. I did decoupage the 2 drawers and this. I just cut the paper until I got what I liked. And then I did the Mod Podge. On the 2 drawers, I did a coat over it, which I didn't on this. Maybe I should have. I don't know if I don't know. Because I'm going to seal it, so I don't know. But to get the edges smooth, I used a real light sanding sponge and just went over it to get the paper off. And I did have some spots I had to touch up, but for my main paint color, I'm using Plum Crazy by Dixie Belle. I'm using this spray salt. I forgot what it's called. The bag's right there. And you're supposed to mix it till it has a brownie batter-like consistency. So that's what I did. And I liked it. It's fun. I'm not showing it here, but I used that to create texture on the drawers and the whole outside of the piece, which looks so cool. I'll show you how I did it in a little bit. For the drawers, I decided to do some blending, so I used Amethyst, Plum Crazy, Flamingo, and something else. Oh, lavender something. Lavender, lilac, lavender. I think it's lavender, whatever. It's that light purple color there. And painted on, did a little blending till I got a look that I like, and just kind of had fun with it. Honestly, there was no rhyme or reason. I just did what I wanted to do. Yay! And here's what the door looked like. It's so pretty. I love that. I don't care what anybody says. This is my primer. I lined the pan so I could just throw everything away. I rolled it. It's pretty watery, so I just rolled it. I only did one coat. Maybe I should have done two, but I didn't. The paint's sticking though, so I have filled and sanded. I've sanded the whole thing with a little scuff sand, and I filled any holes, sanded everything down, so it's smoothish. Not smooth, which is okay because I'm going to put texture on it. And here I took that texture, this mixed up sea spray, I'm probably messing that up, and just smashed it on there and then dabbed it to make texture. And full coverage isn't necessary because I'm going to be painting a second coat and doing all sorts of other colors, so it's all perfect. It's all perfect. For this little inside cabinet, I decided it needed to be navy. So I painted it navy. See? I'm painting it. It took like 2 coats. I think mainly because I was trying to cover up the white primer, but another little thing I did on the navy parts was I have some Rust-Oleum Color Shift blue spray paint, and I just sprayed over it. It looks really pretty. Like, it just has this light shimmery look, and when you move it's like a blue-green color shift. It's very pretty. It doesn't show up well on camera, so I don't show it, but it looks pretty. Okay, this is the front. I have the sections painted, but it's 10:30 and 90 degrees. I had to stop because like I couldn't blend. The paint was drying before I could blend. So here's what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a bunch of small paintbrushes and work in very small sections to blend. So hopefully I can get it blended before it dries. Even with my little water bottle, I could not keep anything wet long enough to blend. But I can't do anything else. Like, I can't put the pieces in, I can't get the drawers in, I can't do anything else until this is painted because I don't want to get paint on anything else. So it is what it is. I'm just gonna have to get it done. It should be fine, right? It should be fine. For blending this part, I did just worked in small sections. I didn't try to do anything fancy, just quick blending. And used a spray bottle, made a little wet area to blend the paint, and did my best there. It worked. I like it. I was also paying attention to like what I did on the drawers and the door and trying to match that up. Okay, so here, you notice my table saw, and I'm using a saw on top of my table saw because my table saw quit working. Yeah, it was great. I don't want to talk about it. This was a little bit more tedious. It also changed my plan for how I'm going to put the pieces in, but it is what it is. Now, what I'm using are pickets, just cedar fence pickets, which requires a lot of sanding that I didn't center very well. I started with, on most of them, I started with 60 grit, not here, but I did, went back, 60 grit, 80 grit, 120, and then finished with 220, and I liked it. It's pretty tedious, but if you just put on something that, you know, a little show you would like to watch, it's all good. There's me, you know, losing my mind. Alright, so here we are. Just to remind how far it comes. Look at that! Yeah. So, I'm going to wipe this all down with mineral spirits, let it dry, and then it'll be ready for stain. But I'm not going to show you me wiping it down with mineral spirits because that would be dull. You take a rag and you soak with mineral spirits and then you wipe. Ta-da! So I'm moving on to stain, which I used dark walnut. But I did this in 2 sections because the boards aren't all the same length. So these are the bottom and top boards. Notice they're not completely smooth. It's a look I was going for. It's fine. They're still beautiful. Like, you can do a lot with fence pickets if you're interested. And when I was staining these, I was like, this doesn't seem like as dark as I thought it was going to be. But I went ahead and stained all of these. And I mean, it's still pretty. Like, I really liked the way they looked. But when I went to restain the other ones that are going to be like the upright pieces for the shelf to kind of frame it out, they were really dark. And that was a problem because I had already attached all of these. See how, I mean, that looks really pretty. It wasn't the color I was going for, but it looks really pretty. So to attach them, I just laid them in there. Yes, I know, centering would have looked better, but I was already going to have to rip these down with something other than my table saw. So it is what it is. I didn't center them. I just started on one side and then went up from there. So I put a little bit of glue and then some brad nails. I'm not worried about these coming up, but you know, just a little bit of glue and just kind of laid them in there. They're probably not square. And for the most part, all the edges are hidden, like where it meets the frame part. Anyway, so these here and then on the top, because I really framed it out, were all attached. And then I did the rest of the boards and they were really dark. So I had to restain all of these while they were attached here and the ones up at the top part. Which went. It happened. That is the best I can say about that. So just keep going. Put the next couple pieces in, glue, brad nail, play with pieces. Which pieces do I like? Then I ended up using the same piece. It's fine. And to get that final little piece that's going to need to go in there, I'm using a jigsaw. Because I'm still bitter about my circular saw just quitting on me. The jigsaw just makes it easier. Like if I have to kind of shave off little parts to get it to fit, it's easier. For the top, I decided to cut down a piece of 1/4-inch plywood and just cover it. And it was so hot. Look at the glue. The glue was drying as I was putting it on. So I couldn't spread it over the whole thing. I just put lots of glue on both pieces and stuck them together and hoped for the best. I spent a lot of time really making sure it was all squared up and squarish, as squared as it was going to get. And stacked a bunch of weights and stuff, clamped it, stacked a bunch of stuff on top of it, and let it dry. It worked out fine. It's all good. To color the top, I found this color wash tint. This color wasn't my first choice, and I forgot what color it was. I wanted Purple Rain, but they didn't have any. Or they had one, but I wasn't sure how much it would take. Anyway, it's just a water-based water dye. Look, even the fly loved it. And this was the first coat with a foam brush, and then I went back over with a paintbrush. And I actually got it looking really nice until I like splattered apart. And it's okay. I don't think this is meant for really big surfaces, I'm not gonna lie, but you know, whatever. Now, to do the trim, I wanted mitered corners, but my table saw's dead, so I used, I borrowed this from my dad's garage. And look, I cut 45-degree angles and I created mitered boards. Ta-da! And to attach them, I just smeared some glue in there, a little bit high so it could drip down, and then Brad nailed it on, which was kind of a challenge hitting the right spot, but I did. And it looks good. For the base, I assembled it as I went because this thing isn't square or even, so it is painted navy and then gold feet. It's 4 legs in the front, 3 in the back, and just a basic frame with 1x3s to support it, which I obviously didn't record all the steps. So here is a reminder of what I started with. Very cheap dresser. Some may say not worth saving, but I think it's beautiful. I have not top coated it, and I do have some touch-ups to do, but overall I'm very happy with it. Just a few minor issues, but I had a deadline to meet, so I'm getting the video out and I'll do my touch-ups later. My son helped me with the pictures and the setup, so enjoy my giant turtle. Also, my son being silly when he was trying to help me. Seriously, I'm trying. I would love to hear what you think about this flip down in the comments below. And what's your favorite part? If you haven't already, please like the video, share, subscribe, do all the things. It helps me out and helps me grow my channel.